Okay, Shalom. Giving all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Wakar Kwadash, and double honor to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone, and salutation you Akim out there that's been pushing this word in truth and in sincerity. I recently did a video on these sharks off the coast of Florida, 23 miles off the shores of the beach, scoping out and circling a boat of marine biologists. And they said it was a terrible, I read the article, they said it was a terrible sight, a terrible time in their lives, roughly paraphrasing what they said. But then I ran across another article, this one in California, off the Manhattan Beach, another 20-foot, 25-foot shark off the coast of California in Manhattan Beach, that's 15, 20 miles off the shores, stalking people. Now you have another article here where whales, it says, well of a time, tearaway gangs of huge young male orcas are battering holiday boats and terrifying attacks to practice hunting. It says, a tearaway gang of violent young male orcas have been battering sailing boats and terrifying attacks to practice hunting. Armed teams on yacht have spotted the pod of adolescent male orcas north of their usual homes around the waters of Spain. So these attacks are happening. These things are happening all over the world. It says half a dozen run-ins have been reported in Brittany, well north of their traditional waters. And it reads, a British sailor told of the terrifying moments his boat was attacked by 2 killer whales. You see, they're attacking these boats, man. And that's what they do. They ram a boat in hopes that the passengers will fall over. And once you fall into them waters, that's your ass. And I'm surprised when that 20-foot shark was circling the marine biologists off the coast of Florida in a recent video I did, reading the article, I'm surprised he didn't ram the boat. He or she didn't ram the boat and knock him over so he could have a hell of a meal. And the Most High is putting the spirit on these sea creatures to do these things, man. It says, look at this. It's showing you pictures. It says, the subspecies of orcas off Spain are regularly spotted. There have been increased reports of killer whales attacking boats off the coast of Spain and Portugal in recent years. More than 230 orca interactions have been reported in the last 2 years in the Strait of Gibraltar, ranging from the massive mammoths approaching boats to attacking them, ranging from the massive mammals approaching boats to attacking them. The subspecies of orcas off Spain are regularly spotted around the areas as they migrate to feed on the big tuna entering and leaving the Mediterranean each spring and end of summer. And we're at the end of the summer now. And these orca whales are attacking these boats. And the spirit of the Most High is putting it on, and Most High is putting the spirit on to do that. It says, sailing boats have been abandoned in the waters from the onslaught of the orcas, and crews have told of terrifying experiences with the animals. Yeah, they doing their thing. They trying to terrorize you, and also the Most High put the spirit on them to put your ass to death. Earlier this month, 5 people were rescued after a pod of crazed killer whales sunk a tourist boat off the coast of Portugal. Crazed, he said crazed killer whales. Earlier this month, the month of August, 5 people were rescued after a pod of crazy killer whales sank a tourist boat off the coast of Portugal. The 25-foot orcas smashed a hole in the hull 6 miles from the port of Shines. But this summer, half a dozen run-ins have been reported well north of their traditional waters in the Bay of Biscay near Brittany, France. Esther Christine Starkson, the 27-year-old Norwegian medical student, said her 12-meter yacht was attacked in the bay by 5 orcas. You shouldn't be out there. They kept ramming us. We had the impression that it was a so-called orchestrated attack. She wrote on Facebook. Her yacht en route to Madeira limped into the Britain port of Brexit for repairs after the onslaught from the killer whales. The skipper of another yacht who goes by the name Easy Swisser on social media described a 10-minute assault in the same area. The orcas were very determined to bite us. Yeah, they wanted to fuck y'all up. They wanted to mill. They wanted a mill. You understand? They wanted a mill. That's why they was attacking that boat. The orcas were very determined to bite us, he wrote. A Facebook account for reporting killer whale attacks is full of horror tales of bumping and ramming by the animals. Yeah, that's what they do. Another crew said they kept on ramming us mostly to one side, pushing the rudder on its maximum angle. At one point, they also turned the boat 180 degrees against the wind in what felt like one stable, strong movement. We could see orcas on all sides of the boat. The Albanian orca groups promotes the conversations, the conversations, the conservation of the subspecies of orcas, which began assaulting on sailing boats in 2020. They said about half the boats were rammed, suffering damage to the rotors. They are very small. It says it is a very small subpopulation threatened and protected by different entities, the conservation said. Groups told the Times, and scientists believe that the young male orcas treat the ramming as a game and as practice for hunting. If they wanted to beach the hull, they could easily do it with their snouts. But they only attack the rotors, he said. It says reports also think the orcas like the sensation of the water streams produced by the power boat's propellers when they swim behind. That could be the case, but ultimately the Most High putting the spirit on these animals, these sea creatures, to do that. What we think is that they are asking to have propellers in the face. I can't pronounce his name. Rulard D. Stephanus, a Spanish-based researcher, said when they encounter a sailing boat that isn't running its engine, they get kind of frustrated, and that's why they break the rotors. It comes after a British crew told how they were sailing 20 miles off the coast of Spain when they suddenly found their 50-foot yacht surrounded by the killer creatures. The part of orcas appeared bent on destruction, attacking the boat with a huge amount of force. Speaking on the episode of Close Calls on camera, crew member Martin said it was intense. Yeah, it's very intense. When realized that if this animal chooses to do something, it will do it. There's nothing you'll be able to do to stop it. The former stand-up comedian was on a 3-week voyage via the Mediterranean with other members of crew with a skipper. On a clear afternoon, Martin was about to take a quick break for a cup of tea when he noticed the whale started whizzing around on its own. Yeah, because it was being attacked. The autopilot had been playing up on the trip. So we had a couple of situations where the boat would just go off course. Well, I'm not going to read too much of this right here. I'm going to get into a few scriptures. Abba Watazayu Akematu will be edified. But this article was on the U.S. Sun, you know, and it reads, well of a time, tailwave gang of huge young male orcas are battering holiday boats and terrifying attacks to practice hunting. That may be the case, but we also got to understand that the Most High put the spirit on these creatures to do that. Make no mistakes about that. The Most High put the spirit on these creatures to do so. This is Job chapter 18, verse 11. It reads, terror shall make them afraid on every side and shall drive them to their feet. In this instance, is these sea creatures terrorizing these marine biologists, these marine biologists, and also people that's on these yachts sailing across the coast of Brittany, France, and Spain, and in Portugal. And you have attacks, you have sharks circling boats off the coast of Florida. So this is not a coincidence. The Most High is putting the spirit on these sea creatures to do these things, man. It says, back in Job chapter 18, verse 11, terror shall make him afraid on every side and shall drive him to his feet. His strength shall fail, but his strength shall be hunger bitten, and destruction shall be ready at his side. And in this case, it's talking about whales and sharks terrifying and threatening to harm people. But on the flip side of things, we see this war in the Ukraine. And we see these court shootings taking place. There's a lot of things happening in this society was letting us know the Most High is visiting the world in which he made, man. And soon, the Lord is going to visit these devils with thermal, nuclear destruction, and concentrated fire, man. And that's exactly what this is also going into, man. And those terrorists that's going to terrify this devil and take him out of his power seat, man. Oh yeah, a whole lot of things is happening. It's coming down the pike, man. And we see it, man. And we see it. This is let me get this real quick before I close it. Like I said, I wasn't gonna make this too long. I don't want to read the article because the article is kind of long. So I just wanted to get to the point and bring out how the Lord is putting the spirit on these sea creatures to do what they do. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 39, verse 28. There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction, they pour out their force and appease the wrath of him that made them. And they're appeasing the wrath of the Most High. Because the Most High put the spirits on these creatures to do what they're doing, man. That's why they circling boats and ramming boats and terrifying people on them boats. If they really want to, they can knock that boat over, sink the boat, and kill all the occupants on the boat. That's the spirit of the Most. That's the spirit that the Most High put on these sea creatures, man. It says, verse 29, Ecclesiastes chapter 39, verse 29. Fire and hell, and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. We see that going on in California. We see that damn near the whole Europe is on fire. We see that. Hell, great hailstorms happening in Texas. You know, I mean, softboard size hell. It says, fire and hell and famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. Teeth of wild beasts and scorpions, serpents, and the sword punishing the wicked to destruction. They shall rejoice in his commandments, and they shall be ready upon earth when need is. And when need is, when the Most High put that spirit on them, and when their time is come, they shall not transgress his word. They're going to do what the Most High put on their spirit to do. The Most High going to put that spirit on them to attack and ram boats and destroy boats and kill people, maim people. Hey, that's what they're going to do. They're going to appease the wrath of him that made them. And that's the judgment coming upon these people. And you can't get around that, man. There was a little article I want to get into. So I found it, I found these articles, and it's been a recent uptake in creatures from the deep terrorizing people. And that's the spirit that the Most High is putting on them to do. So I hope you Akim out there found this lesson edifying. And with that, I'm going to say Shalom.